Well, good morning, everybody. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's right. Somebody's still excited. Come on. It's called the overflow, boy. Man, I can feel it. I can sense it as the leaders hand out our half sheets for this morning. We're closing out our series called Make It a Habit. We're closing out our series called Make It a Habit. And we've been walking through this dialogue of building good habits and taking these good habits and hopefully getting them to take place of bad habits, because it's hard enough for us to break bad habits, right? But it's easier for us to build in good habits. So we want to back end this thing. It's sort of like a life hack, right? It's not like you guys are old enough to have like real life hacks, but let's start hacking now so we don't have to hack later. So we're looking to build good habits to replace the bad habits. And we did a little bit of that over the last few days since Tuesday. We had our first annual Called Conference, summer 2018. How about a hand, man, to all of you guys that were out here. And for those of you guys that were not here, I kind of want to give you sort of a glimpse of what went on. It was pretty exciting because, a lot of times when you're standing out here and you see the faces, things start to happen. So I got a quick picture of what all our Cathedral Faith youth looked like before camp started, and because some transformation happened, some pretty exciting things happened. That's what we looked like before the Called Conference, and then here's what we looked like during the Called Conference. Yeah, things were starting to change, boy. We started talking, people started looking a little differently at me, and boy, transformation really happened. And here's what they looked like after conference. Oh my gosh, it was just amazing. Did you see the excitement? I mean, it's just amazing how you guys can look at me blank, cold stares in the face, but I know things are going on. I know things are going on. All you stormtroopers looking at me, right? Like with these laser beam eyes, I know something's going on. So you didn't see it, but what you saw, what you didn't see were just lives changing. Boys, sadness turning to gladness. Boy, desperation turning into joy. Boy, hopelessness turning into imagination. Right? Lives being changed, lives being opened up, lives being truly lived. And speaking of what happened at conference, here's an image of what our conference staff looked like after the conference and what we look like today. That's about right? We're all on stretchers, boy. We're all on our last edge, but you know what? We're pouring out and we're doing every last bit and pouring all of who we are into all of who you are, believing that truly the best is still yet to come. Your lives are a representation of what it means to have the hope in a life that's still yet to be lived. So much more left. And today, that's what we want to talk about. Today, I want to talk about being extraordinary. We talk about being called to this thing, out of things, into things, and ultimately, it leads to us being extraordinary. I believe each and every one of you are extraordinary individuals. And what you need to realize is, in order to be extraordinary, it's not about being flashy, not about being, superstar status. All it takes is for you to look at the ordinary moments of your life, right, and do them well. Right? Commit to the ordinary things in your life. Don't look down on it. Don't be all bummed out about it. Look at the ordinary moments of your life. Commit to doing them well. And as the ordinary experiences start to add up in your life, guess what? It adds up to extraordinary experiences. And as these extraordinary experiences start to happen in your life, it starts to form you as an extraordinary person. And this morning, that's what I want to talk about. I want to give you some real practical ways for you to learn how to be extraordinary. And these are habits, a simple habit of extraordinary people. How many of you are down with being extraordinary? We cool? We want to be extraordinary people, yeah? Yeah? Or we want to just be ordinary? We good with ordinary? Or, yeah, extraordinary. I like that because that's what I see in all of you. You know, we've been learning about spending more time with God to grow in Him. That's a great habit to start with. And then we talked about surrounding ourselves with people that do good in your life, right? Or maybe need good. That's another great habit for us to start forming. And then we learned about sharing our story with God, about sharing our story and that build our faith in God. That's another great habit. And today, I want to let you in on just a simple, ordinary habit. An ordinary habit that we all do every single day that I believe if we do it well and we execute well and you learn the secrets behind this habit, that you can be extraordinary. You can be extraordinary. You can experience extraordinary things. And that habit is simply love. Love. Can it be that simple? Yeah, it can. It can. And you guys are already capable of doing that. And what I want to do is I want to take that idea and I want to show you some secret places in that idea of how extraordinary people work in this space called love in ways that ordinary people don't. The have to habit says love always. And that have to habit on your sheet is built off of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8, 10, and 11. And the Bible reads this way: above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To Him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. Father God, I pray you be faithful to that word, Lord, that what we're going to come out of and is something absolutely glorious today. I pray this in Jesus' name. So the have to habit right below the verse says love always. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at that half sheet. I want you to look at those letters. And what I want you to do is I want you to see all the ways those ordinary letters make three phrases. Our message today is a combination of three phrases that are a combination of those letters. And I just want to give you about a minute or two just to look at those letters and figure out how many combinations you can put together, and maybe guess what these points are. Love in every aspect of life equals what? There's one word. Love in more ways than one equals another word. Love in full effect equals one word. So take those letters. Again, it's LOVEALLWAY, sort of like word find. And see if you can find three phrases in those letters. Three phrases. And see if you can guess what those words are. About another 30 seconds. See if you can guess what that phrase is, what those phrases are. And then we'll get started. So one of my favorite stories that our senior pastor, Ken, always reminds me about when we talk about love is a young couple that he once was talking with, and he talked about the friends of this young couple that had been dating, and it looked like everything was going right. Like they were dating, and it looked like it was a perfect love, and then all of a sudden, the woman, the young lady in their couple's friends, she just left. Like she just walked out of the relationship, and their friends were all, what just happened? We thought everything was cool, and so they got together with the girl and asked her, hey, so, what happened? In their minds are thinking maybe she was cheating on the relationship, and they really wanted to know. They were good friends. They wanted to help her out. And said, what happened? Was there somebody else? And the woman looks him dead in the eye and says, yeah, I really hope so. That was my favorite. But one day, you'll laugh at that joke, and you'll remember I told it to you. Because what it tells is there's always this search for love. There's always this sort of search for love and this experience of love. But what we want to do is we want to go deeper than that. We want to talk about love in a way that's outside of this immediate sense of relational love. The first point says that we need to love in every aspect of your life. And that means we need to love always. That means we need to love always. So the first phrase is love always. It's taking letters and seeing the phrase love always. And that's what 1 Peter 4, verse 8 says. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers every multitude of sins. And maybe you're not down with the word sins, but all that means, if we can work on it on a teenage translation version, all that means it covers all aspects of your life. Because if you're like me when I was a teenager, I wasn't getting everything right at that point in my life. And love does that. If we can come from a point of love, love covers all of that. Love covers every aspect of your life. The Bible puts it this way in Corinthians, that we can do all this cool stuff, we can do all this camp stuff, all this conference stuff, we can do all this church stuff, but if we don't have love with it, then it's just noise. Then it's just like annoying noise, right? And anybody, have annoying noise, right? You ever seen that movie where they take their fingernails and they just draw their nails across the blackboard? You guys can hear that, Why not? Sometimes it's just these noises. Can you imagine a good deed that you're doing that's not coming from love being annoying? You intend love for it, but it's just annoying. Love must be a part of everything you do, in every aspect of your life. So when you think about your life, and you think about all the levels, all the corners, all the nooks and crannies of your life, does love exist there? Does love exist there? Is there some sense that all those aspects of your life are working together to create good? Is good coming out of every aspect of your life? Because that's what love should do. If it was love and it was covering everything, then there should be good coming out of all those areas of your life. And if there's areas in your life where good is not a product of it, then you got to find a way to get love in there. You got to get back to love. You got to get back to this concept of love, what it means, and how can it make it into my life? How can it make it into my life? The simple question is, am I loving always? Am I loving in school? Am I loving at home? Right? Am I loving in all levels of my relationship with friends? Am I in a loving relationship with the things I own? Am I in a loving relationship with my hobbies? It sounds weird, I know. But when you frame it from the standpoint of are all these things working together for my good, it makes sense. It makes sense. What are the things we love? What are the things we love? What kind of things do we love in our life? In the working world, when you get older, we say it this way. When you love what you do, when you get older and you're getting ready to work, and it says, when you love what you do, it never feels like work, right? I mean, it's like, I don't know if this is possible. Maybe we can frame it like this. If we love school, how many love school? How many love school? Come on, somebody's got to love school. Golly, I know it's summertime, but somebody's got to love school. I'm telling you, it's good for you. It's like eating broccoli. It's really good for you. Well, yeah, maybe not like broccoli. But it's good for you. You guys, look, if you love school, if you can find a way to love school, if you can find a thread of love in school, it's not going to be so boring. It's not going to be so difficult. It's not going to be just like torture. Oh my gosh, when is it 2 o'clock? It's like 8:30. Oh. Right? Look, I want you to think about this for a second. What if we loved God so much, man, that it didn't feel like work? What if we loved everything about Jesus that it wasn't so hard to be a Christian? What if we loved so much that it wasn't such this burden to like have to open my Bible and read it? What if we loved him so much, right, in all aspects of our life that we talked about God, right, before we talked about the last episode you watched on Netflix? What if we loved God so much, right, that the first thing we scrolled through, man, was the verse of the day and not, the meme of the day? Come on. All aspects of our lives. What does it look like? How does it move in our lives? Simple ways, you guys, simple ways to get love, to make it in your life, and start to make your ordinary life extraordinary. I'm telling you, things are changing. You stormtrooper faces, I can see it. It's changing. It's changing. Our next point is loving in more ways than one. Loving in more ways than one. What you're going to learn as you get older is that love is more than just a feeling. Love is more than just how you feel and how you express your feelings and emotions to someone. You're going to start to realize that love comes in a lot of different ways. And as we learn to love in all ways, A-L-L ways, in all these different ways, it starts to become more fulfilling. It starts to become more, it starts to become a part of you in a way that gives you peace, that you're not so unsettled. It gives you this sense of joy and not abandonment. It gives you this sense of excitement and not depression. Right? It makes you feel a part of something rather than isolated from everything. When you start to experience love in all these, when you start to learn all of them, love starts to become this thing that's more than you ever imagined. And we're going to walk through that this morning. And before I do that, I'm going to go through 5 simple ways we can look at love in more than the way you're already looking today. I found something on the internet that sort of is a reflection of how love can happen. Love can happen in all these different ways, affect people in many different ways, and create for extraordinary experiences through extraordinary people. Watch the screens and you'll see what I mean.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you? Nice to meet you. My name's Jack.
Hey, Richie.
Rich. I'm really hungry right now, and I was just wondering if you can maybe help me out with some food, if you happen to have any, or money or anything.
Here.
Oh, is that like a sandwich?
Yes.
Awesome, man. This will be perfect. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. Do you mind if I have it right here with you?
Sure.
Awesome.
Have a seat, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just stand. No worries, man. You can have a seat. How long has it been since you ate last?
Yesterday, maybe.
You haven't ate since yesterday. You're just gonna give me food, man? That really means a lot to me, man. Thank you. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what put you in the situation you're in right now?
Well, many years ago, I used to be a truck driver.
Oh, truck driver, okay.
And then I got my license suspended.
Oh, really? How?
Well, apparently I got some tickets that I was not aware of that somehow got posted into my driving record, and the notices were arriving at my brother's house without my knowledge.
Oh, really? Wow. And so you just lost your job from that?
Next thing you know, everything was taken out from under me.
You know, I really appreciate that you helped me out, but I'm facing some financial issues as well. You know, and I've been going through really hard times as well. You know, like my family, everybody's going through a hard time. You know, and I guess life's tough. You know what I mean? You can't really do anything. But if you can help me out with anything else, I would really appreciate it, man.
Well, I do have a little something that I'm trying to save up, but I'm trying to save up to get my license back, and right now, I don't even have nearly enough saved up.
How much do you have to pay to get your license back?
Right now, I got like over $80 just saved up, but I need like $650 or something like that to get everything up to code.
Oh, so you have to pay $650 to get your license back?
That and it took me a long time just to collect on that because I have to do recycles.
Oh, how long has it took you?
4 months it took me.
To get the $80?
Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't really do me any good because it'll probably take me years to collect the rest of what I need just to get everything back.
So you have $80 and you're trying to get the $650 to pay, and you want to give it to me?
I mean, it's nothing, I can't do anything with it now.
I mean, you can still save it and, hope for the best, right? I mean,
Maybe at the age I'm at, maybe it's too late for me to start. I don't know.
here, let's do this. Do you mind if I come back to you after 15 minutes real quickly? But I'll just leave the stuff here. I'll be right back. Okay, so just stay right here. I'll be right back. So I just got out of the bank and I pulled out $700 to give to Richard so he can get his license back. Hey, sir. Hey, told you I'll be back, man. So, I want to tell you something. I lied to you, man. I'm not in need of money, and I wasn't hungry. I'm actually somebody who makes videos on the internet, but after meeting you, man, that really made me happy, man. And you mentioned that you needed $650 to get your license back, right? So I got you $700, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got you $700.
Are you kidding me?
No, man. $700. It's all yours, man. I have it in this envelope. It's all yours, man.
No way.
It's all yours, man.
Whoa.
No worries, man. It's all yours, man. Go get your license back. Go get your life back on track, man.
You don't know what this means to me.
No worries, man. No worries. I want to just help you out, man. No, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. I want to, you know, it meant a lot to me. You want to give me $80. You want to give me food. I want to help you out, man. And that,
I really don't know. Wow.
I just wanted to help you out.
How much I appreciate this.
No worries, man. No worries. You know, go get your license back. Start driving the truck again and work and you know, everybody makes mistakes in life, you know what I mean? You didn't know you had the ticket, you know what I mean? And it's fine, you know what I mean? So just want to help you out, man. I hope it helps you out, man. I really hope that helps you out. Get that license where you go, man. Have a good day, okay?
Man, how about a hand, right? For people just like that. And it's no different than you and me. When we learn to love always, a simple moment like that can happen every day. And we don't have to have $700. We don't have to have you know, a YouTube video. It's something we've been all trained up and built up to do. We're every member here at this church a minister. We all got that. We've been living that from day one. We're a church that gives. It's part of how you've been brought up into. And it's part of how we have grown as a church. And that's how you're going to grow as an individual, to be this extraordinary person. So I want to walk through what happened there. I want to walk, because it's always more than meets the eye. The story is a story no different than the story we talked about in Ruth over the conference. About one person making this massive difference, this ordinary person making the difference. And here's 5 ways that love was lived out in that moment. The first way was he listened. They listened. We need to learn to listen. We need to learn to listen. And look, listening means that we're listening to somebody to hear what they're saying. Here's what you all do. Here's what every single one of you do. I still do it. When I'm listening to somebody, I'm thinking about what I want to say to that person. I'm thinking about what I want to say back and respond to that person. Guess what happens the moment you start thinking about what you want to say rather than listening to the person? You stop listening. You stop listening. And what becomes more important is what you have to say than what they have to say. Learning to listen, you start to hear the hearts of people, and you start to know how to respond. Because when we love this way, we're starting to not love others, but we're starting to love God the way God loves us. The second thing that happens is when we start to listen is that we care. You need to care. And I'm going to call everybody out because I'm calling me out too. Look, we need to care, and we need to stop pretending like we do. Feel me? Right? I mean, we all got our happy, pretty Christian faces, but boy, I can't wait to get out of here because, dude, I ain't having none of that. Right? We can walk away, walk right by that guy sitting on the side, right? Because we care. Hey, God bless you, brother. Hope you have a great day. What does it mean for us? What does it mean for us? What does it mean for us? That might not be it, but it can be with many. It can be all aspects of your life. Love covers always, right? Love always. There's a place in your life where you can love in this way, to listen and to care, like really genuinely care enough to do something. Right? I want you to take notice. I just got you to know if the video was about that guy blessing that homeless guy, I'll tell you what, he didn't have to go out in the bank and get the $700. Right? It was this genuine, when people care, people are moved in that way, and they can't deny it. And when God's a part of your life and Holy Spirit comes on it, he moves in the hearts of man on your behalf, you see. Right? God moved in the heart of that guy to give him $700. I don't think he was ready to like pony up $700. Man, but God moves in that way and makes man move on your behalf. When you care enough, when a situation, love is caring, that's what happens. And look, we need to make sure we act. Another thing was act. The next word is act. We got to act. We have to not just decide to do something, but we actually have to do it, you guys. It's one thing to think about what you're going to do, but it's another thing to do it. And that's what extraordinary people do. They have these great ideas. They have these great sort of, sort of promptings for you to move, maybe to talk to somebody, maybe to hang out with somebody, maybe to share with somebody, bless with somebody, but we end up not doing it. Oh, no, they won't care. Oh, no, they won't listen to me. Oh, no, I'm too embarrassed. And we do nothing. And we do nothing. An extraordinary experience you miss out on. And that opportunity for you to be shaped as an extraordinary person, you miss out on in that ordinary moment. So make sure you start to learn how to act. You act. Practice, you have to practice action. Not just thinking, right? Not just kind of, philosophizing about it, right? Because we start to think about it, we try to make it all pretty, and then we don't even do anything about it. We need to act. Hey, and then we need to give. We need to give. We need to learn how to be generous. We need to learn how to be generous. In the story of Ruth and Naomi, Ruth communicated love to her mom because she didn't have any food when she went out to go work. She just acted. She said, you know what, I'm going to do something about a desperate situation because they didn't have any money. And she listened to Naomi and said, there's somebody out there that we need to go find. She didn't know who she was supposed to find, but she went out anywhere. The Bible said the Lord led her to this place. Like the Lord leads you, right, to any place. Nothing happens by accident. We love saying that here at Cathedral. Nothing's by accident, right? You're here for a reason. And then she goes, and then she gets fed. She gets a lunch. She gets the best lunch. She got like 5-star sushi with Boaz. Man, he was eating the best food. And you know what she did? You know what she did after she got really full? She took a little bit and put it in her bag, and she was going to go bring it to her mom. She cared enough, right? She cared enough to do this thing that communicated, Mom, I love you so much that I'm going to do this little thing. What little things can you do? You don't have to give a lot. You don't have to give $700, but you got to learn how to give something. You guys gave generously here to the church. That's one level. Extraordinary people see how that can happen in other areas of our life. That's where we're going. And that's what we're working to be. And that's what we're working to experience. And the last thing that's important in that dialogue, in that expression, was to what I call live. L-I-V-E, live. And that's not live from the standpoint of live your life. That's live in terms of you need to be live with people, right? You need to be live with people. We spend enough time texting each other. We spend enough time looking at each other's lives. But we need to be live with people like this. That's why it's important for you to come to church. Man, no app in the world is going to ever take the place of this right here. Nothing will ever take the place of this right here. Because when we gather together, something happens. When we gather together, it's called physical interaction. And what I like to call it, I like to call it the hug life. I'm one of those hug guys, man. We need to get gangster with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not the thug life, it's the hug life. We need to do drive-by hugging. What? Good. What? Good. Right? Just start peppering people with high five. What? Right? Because I tell you what, research says physical interaction, right, does amazing things. It does amazing things. What it does is it changes your brain. Right? That's why when we're sad, right? And we need comfort, what happens? Right? We cry on somebody's shoulder, maybe get a hug. That's why when you do something really well and you accomplish something, we shake your hand and say, great job. Something about a firm handshake changes in your brain. Can you imagine? Everything changing your body by simple touch and literally making everything in your life better. Kid you not. Probably the only thing that never made me feel better was a smack I got from my mom because I didn't wash the dishes when I was supposed to. But in the end, that tough love we call it, formed the man standing before you today that's telling you about this idea of love. And I want to close with this statement of love being in full effect. Love being in full effect. And the last word in your sheet is that love sway all. Love sways all. And all that means is when we love this way, it starts to sway people towards God. It starts to sway people towards God. If I can have the worship team up, I would love for us to experience this in a real and tangible way. When we start to love this way, when we start to learn how to love this way, it starts to move our lives. It starts to sway things in our life in a direction that like makes us feel and experience the world a little bit differently. It starts to sway our lives. It starts to sway our lives away from the things that may be taking away from what we were created to do, our call and our purpose. Because when we love this way, and it starts to sway our lives, man, into these extraordinary experiences that God has set up for us. Do you know God set up extraordinary experiences in your life every day? We can experience it every day. All we have to do is learn to love in this way. It starts to sway people, just like that YouTuber was swayed to give. He was swayed to give. I'm pretty sure what he wanted to do was way less than that, but it swayed him to give. When we start to learn to love this way, man, it gets us to experience what the Bible says is a peace that surpasses all understanding. It gets us to experience this love that's never too high, never too low, not too far, not too wide, but just right for us. And whenever we need it, in all circumstances, the Bible says, in all circumstances. Man, are we falling short on our love life? Right? Are we falling short on our love life? Are we so shallow, kids, that all we're thinking about are our love interests? Huh? I don't think so. I don't think so. Y'all are deeper than that. Man, you guys are so much more valuable than that. You guys have so much more love to give than that. And that's what love in full effect means. That's what love in full effect means. Love in full effect means you got to practice this. You got to practice this. You know, it's like our friend Steph Curry, or my man Steph Curry. This guy Steph Curry, man, he's a pro at what he does. And he practices, he shoots 2,000 shots almost every day. 2,000 shots. Man, and he lives this kind of life. And his 2,000 shots are no different, man, than the words that start to fill his life. Man, do you think we can start taking 2,000 shots of love a day? Because they say in order to master something, it takes about 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours to master this, master things. I want you to look at love as this skill. I want you to look at love as this thing that we don't just assume we understand, but something that we need to practice, we need to master. Can we practice it? Kids, can we keep practicing this love? Now that we know that there's all these different levels of love to take us from ordinary people to being extraordinary people, to experiencing extraordinary things, boy, yeah, we can. And it starts today. So here's my last graphic. Here's my last image. What I want us to do today is I want us to close with an opportunity for you to take on your back of your sheet. I want you to take the back of your sheet, and I want you to write on the back of your sheet. I want you to write what does that mean to be extraordinary? What kind of love are you going to lead? What kind of life are you going to lead that's extraordinary? I want you to imagine, is it your home life? Where's love going to start changing me? Is it my relational life? Is it sports life? Is it in academic life? Where is it? Maybe things need to stop being in your life. We're talking about developing good habits, developing good ideas. Successful people write things down. Successful, extraordinary people take the time to take their thoughts, put it on paper, and write it down. So you get that opportunity today, and I want you to take those papers, and I'm going to put my Bible up here, and we're going to just sort of close in a time of worship and a close in this ministry time, and I want you to bring it up. I want you to lay it on my Bible, and this is your chance for me to pray for it, pray over it. And the last piece of your paper has 3 ordinaries, because what it says, it's a reminder that it's ordinary things adding up to the extraordinary, right? It's an ordinary things adding up to be extraordinary. And you're going to take your papers and you're going to put it right here, because we're going to believe for that. We're going to pray for that. And what I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a gift, especially you camp folk. You people that put all your time and effort in camp, I'm believing that the seed of extraordinaries have been planted. And rather than have a piece of paper for you to remember this sermon, I'm going to give you camp folk this to remember this morning. So all of you camp folk get to have this t-shirt that you're going to wear every day to remind yourself that you're extraordinary. That what you have on that paper has been prayed for, it's being believed for, and it's on its way. Yo, it's on its way. That's right. How about you have a clap? So all you camp folk, we've got one of these for you. If you didn't come to camp, come on Wednesday. We'll have the t-shirts for you. You can buy them if you want to have that sort of reminder that I am extraordinary. I'm believing it. I receive it. So come on Wednesday. Hang out with us. We'll have them for you on sale. But for you camp folk, make sure you check in at the desk. And as worship goes on and as you're led, come on up and lay your extraordinary love for God to bless